to Tailgate Talk. What's up? I am Sean Ritter, along with Eric Tasker. You can follow us on socials at On The Tailgate. Of course, collectively is the show. I am at The Real Ritter, as in fishing reel, at Wisco Bow Hunting. Eric Tasker. Wags out this week. Of course, Tailgate Talk brought to you by friends at Buck Grub Outfitters, Buck Grub Archery. You can check them out in Pewaukee off of Silverdale Road if you're in around southeastern Wisconsin. Otherwise, everything up. BuckGrubArchery.com. They've got a lot of great products up there for you. I know I always talk about the arrow rests that I absolutely love. The Magna Drop that I have with the Raven Claw, which is fantastic for any sort of mobile hunters that move around, holds your arrow in place, keeps you safe, secure, and it's, of course, that drop-away arrow rest. Really, really awesome product. Go and check them out. Again, BuckGrubArchery.com for that. We're just going to kind of wing it this week, I guess. Not really a whole, agenda, so to speak. We've kind of had some, major agendas the last couple of weeks, including, when we were talking about all the new stuff at iCast, which still the FOMO of not being at iCast, absolutely eating me up inside. And I don't know why. Every year I get a bit of FOMO, but for some reason this year more so than any other year. And I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm more, I don't want to say more in the industry, but more in the industry now than I ever have been. And so it's kind of crazy to know tons of people that are there and not be there and see all these new products. What I love about iCast over all other shows is it's a trade show. It's not an expo. It's not you can come here and you can buy the stuff that's here. It's just literally your chance. Literally is not the word I should say, actually. It's actually your chance to go and feel and test and play with these products without the pressure of someone being so you want to buy that? It's going to be $149.99.
But wait,
right?
You'll also get
right. The people that the reps from the companies that are there are just to tell you about the product, to get you familiar with the product, because it's all about just showing you what's new and that's coming out. Obviously, this goal is to then have you go and purchase it later or tell people about it, to purchase, given that it's not a public event. It's an insider only. So you've got to be part of outdoor media. You've got to be an exhibitor. You've got to be a guide, a pro angler, something like that. Those are the only ways to get into iCast, which is kind of interesting. I was listening to Dave Mercer's podcast. Him and Matt Pangrak from Bass Talk Live, they do a thing every Monday that's called Keep or Cull. I absolutely love it. I wish that I would have thought of the idea first because I love the name. It's great.
Okay.
But they have a take on something, and the whole point is asking you whether you want to keep it this way or cull it and change it. Should be different. They brought up iCast on this week's Keep or Cull, and they were saying that should they keep it a private event or make it even more exclusive than it is now, where it seems like it's gotten bigger and bigger, more and more people are allowed in. I think it's just because outdoors media has grown bigger, but they are still pretty restrictive on what they allow. You can't just be I'm in outdoors media because I have a Facebook page. That's not going to get you into iCast. You have to be a legitimate outdoors media, like us as a
Wisco
show.
Bow Hunting isn't getting a
No, but the show Tailgate Talk, and the fact that we cover outdoor products on the radio and on a podcast, and there's tangible proof out there with our actual names and showing that we do this.
Sure.
It's that's the sort of thing that is a little more to get you in. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent here of that, but Mercer had a great, or was it Pangrak came with the idea of having the Friday of iCast be a public thing that you can buy tickets. Still a limited number of tickets, but people can buy tickets to then get into the expo hall to see these products. Because a lot of the people that come in, it's so it starts on Tuesday and runs through Friday. But a lot of people are getting in early Monday then to get set up for stuff. Tuesday's the big on the water day, which is really what I want to be there for.
Yeah.
Is, because that's where you can test products right there on the lake. Whether it's, you can test boats, you can test kayaks, you can actually play with fishing rods and reels and gear and lure. You can do everything outdoors on the lake, which I think is the best way to actually feel and get a look at. Expo hall is one thing, but to actually use it where you would use the product, I think is really cool. This year they set it up too with a whole tailgating theme where they're food and everything. Nice. They had a beer tent.
Yeah.
They've really done a really great job with it. But taking the expo hall then on Friday and opening it up to the public and buy tickets to go in to then see all these products. Because a lot of people can then leave, on Thursday. The brand reps and stuff can still stay there, but, a lot of the media and stuff like that can get out, which then clears room for the expo hall. Then Friday, then to allow the public to come in to be able to see it because there's the people that want to come and it would bring in more revenue for iCast. I'm that's brilliant. I'm so on board with that because, again, it's like I said, what I love about it is it's a chance to see, feel, and touch the new products without having the thought of like having to buy. Although there is people that are there that are like, they want this product right away today. Like, how can I buy this? I want this now. And they get angry if they can't. It's like, no, that's not the point of it. That's not what a trade show is for. You don't go to Consumer Electronics Expo, or whatever, the Consumer Electronics Trade Show, expecting to buy this product here. No, it's for the, people that are making these to show off their new technologies. And that's what iCast is. And so I think even as public, it'd be kind of cool to get the chance to go and just see it.
So the first thing I want to say is, so I was on Instagram last night, and I don't know how many in a row it was, but I had a number of posts from Outdoor Channel TV in a row that were Instagram videos that were all different kayaks being tested out on the water. So it makes sense that Tuesday's the actual testing day.
Yeah, Tuesday's on the water day at iCast.
What
Wednesday,
a great
Expo
way
Hall
to
opens.
do that, though. Because, for me, the thing with kayaks is I've tried a number of kayaks, and I finally found one that I really like and that I feel really comfortable in. I would never know that otherwise if you didn't actually get to go and actually sit in it and test it. And, some of those, they look really great, but they're also sitting pretty high. So then my center of gravity is really high, and that wouldn't work for me. So it'd be nice to actually be able to do that. So that's really cool that they got that it's like a little pond or lagoon or whatever they want to call it.
Good kayak dealers. And I know we talk a lot about kayaks and kayak fishing because, two of us on the show, we do a lot of kayaking. Me specifically do a ton of kayak angling. I think boats, even the same way. Wouldn't it be nice to test drive and get a feel for a boat on the water before you make the purchase? Think of it. You're spending anywhere from $40,000 to $70,000 on a boat. Like, wouldn't it be nice to test it? I say good kayak dealers actually will host on the water days where they'll do that. They'll take their stock of what kayaks they carry and do it at a lake and host an event. People can come and then try before you buy. That's what a good kayak dealer will do. Or there'll be a kayak dealer that's on a lake that, again, you can test everything there. I always think of what's the one that Christine Fisher always plugs all the time? Dugout Bait and Tackle in Alabama. Is it, or Georgia? Marietta, Georgia. Yeah. Dugout. Their tackle shop, kayak dealership is right there on a little pond. So it's great. You're like, oh, I want to try that. And, they plug it in the water and you go and test it out. And,
sure.
You can try everything. That's really cool. But yeah, if looking to purchase a kayak, I always would say if you can find a dealer that you can try on the water before you buy, it's great. My personal kayak, I did not try before I bought it, but I knew enough about it, and I had been in Hobies before, and I knew how close my Lightning is to a Hobie. It's kind of a mashup between a Pro Angler and a Mirage. It's like if you took the two and put them together and just took some of the best features off of them, and that's. But anyway, I digress. And unfortunately, there's no dealers in Wisconsin that serve Lightning anymore. It's a lot down south in Minnesota.
I remember when I was working at Shields, they were consistently expanding westward. And I remember when they built their Reno store, the big excitement about that store was that, a lot of these big corporations, they have the big retention ponds where they have their fire extinguishers and everything sourced to that. Well, that big retention pond was going to always be staffed so people could always try different kayaks or stand-up paddle boards.
That's great.
Or whatever. Anything that goes in the water, you would always be able to have access to try it before you actually buy it.
What Shields did you work at, Tasker?
Eau Claire one.
Did you work there with Pat Schlapper?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
And this is the first time you're mentioning that you know Pat Schlapper.
Yeah. He was in the outdoor stuff for, I think he was in firearms. So
he's done everything at that store from when I've heard from him talking about that.
Yeah, because I don't know if he still is, but he was sponsored by Shields for a long time.
He's still Shields. Yeah. So if you're not familiar, Pat Schlapper is an Elite Series angler.
Yep.
I love his story. He was an English or like a English teacher or a school teacher, or elementary education, what it was actually. So he wanted to be a teacher. And the volatility of teachers in and around, especially the state of Wisconsin, the last few years, it just wasn't a bad place. And so he was always working at Shields through college and stayed working at Shields, ended up becoming a manager there at Shields, and then wanted to try this fishing thing. They let him get off to do all his fishing. He's still on staff there in the off season, still works.
Yeah.
He'll cover shifts and works at Shields.
Yeah.
So if you're ever at Eau Claire, Shields, off season, as an off of the Bassmaster Elite Series season, you may run into an Elite Series angler working at Shields.
Yeah. I didn't know him very well, but from the couple times that I remember talking to him, he was just such a good dude. And what a crazy thing to do, though. You work for a sporting goods company that has afforded you the opportunity to be able to do this thing as a professional career, help come on board, sponsor you, and then you can go back to your day job of, helping people with anything in, hard goods with firearms, bows, whatever, fishing goods, obviously. Yeah, that is a crazy story.
I think it was the first time that it's come up on the show.
Yeah, I know. Because I guess I don't really know him that well, so I know him.
The fact you worked at the same store as him,
yeah.
that's still, it's still cool. And the fact that, you know how, I'm always talking about the Elite Series and some of the anglers that are on there, and, our buddy John Resnick, who we'll talk a little about, conversation with him a little bit, that, our affinity with bass fishing and knowing certain people, and, and fishing, he's fished with Caleb Kufal before and stuff. Yeah. So, to have that's really awesome.
That's cool. Yeah. So the other thing, too, I think that just to come back to iCast, opening it up to a public event on Friday, I think is a really, really great reason, for one reason specifically. You get all of the media attention prior. Mm-hmm. You can be media exclusive all the way up until then. If you've ever worked a week-long trade show or a 5-day trade show or whatever, as I have in my previous life with construction equipment, it is a tough week. Because typically it's all day on your feet, you're out all night, you're coming back and doing the same thing all over again the next day. To have something to look forward to that would be completely different on Friday, I think would be a great way to bring some energy back to the staff that's actually there. Because that's a long time to be there, and it's so much interaction, and it's so much of giving your elevator pitch. It would be a way to kind of liven that up at the tail end of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely, totally agree with that. Now, again, iCast different from Bassmaster Classic Expo, which Classic Expo, it's sort of becoming like an iCast now. I mean, there is some companies that are releasing the new products at, the Bassmaster Classic Expo to kind of differentiate themselves from the iCast crowd. But that, again, is normally more of a sales. A lot of stuff you can go there, you can see, you can purchase, or at least have the routes to then purchase. Not like iCast, where all the stuff that's out. Most of it you can't go and buy yet. It's not on the market yet. They're just releasing this stuff, so you're not going to actually be able to get your hands on it until probably September, October.
Yeah.
Depends. I mean, think back to 2020, when it was the virtual iCast, and there was supply chain things where there was products that you weren't going to get out till 2021 that you released.
Right.
So you never know how long it's going to take for stuff. But yeah, there's a few things that I'm like, dang it, I'm falling to the marketing and take my money. But we've actually got a whole show that I went through and previewed a bunch of the products that just released at iCast and got a little more in depth with some of the stuff. So if you want to check that out, it is here on the channel. So go and scope it out. There's some really cool new stuff, which I mentioned before the break that I was falling trap into some of the stuff. And there was a little text thread conversation going on between myself, Tasker, and our buddy John Resnick last night. I loved Resnick's first response. So one of the products we were talking about on that show with iCast I mentioned was Berkeley's new bladed jig or chatterbait, the Slobber Knocker. And getting to see it in action from Dave Mercer, who had tested the product before iCast. I'm like, okay, take my money. I'm all on board with it. I think it's really well designed. I think it's a pretty innovative take at a bladed jig. So we had talked about that. We went back and forth that a couple times. But then later on, I had sent, I just sent a video of it to. No, I posted on my Facebook page.
Yeah, you posted it on
I posted on my Facebook page the new Rapala OG series, the new Rocco, and it's a small square bill crankbait, but it's that same balsa wood that I fell in love with the OG Slim. You know, the OG Slim is like a dives to 6 foot. It's like it's a flat sided crankbait, so it's that tighter wobble. I love the way flat sided crankbaits work. Now the OG Rocco is a kind of wider, more rounded, fatter body with a square bill, so it's got more of an action. It's going to have way more of a wobble, but you can bounce it off of stuff really well like a square bill could be. And I had, just posted out there, and out of nowhere last night, I get this message. I could read this straight from John Resnick. I'm done buying square bills, but damn it, Ritter, that new Rapala square bill looks damn good. And I was like, see, look, I'm not even there, and I'm already selling products.
Yeah, I watched that video. I don't know, man. You know how I am with just fishing lures, and I'm like, dude, I don't know. Just tell me what I should be throwing here, and I'll throw it.
And that's what had me laughing the most. So I wanted to bring up this text that we were having. This is what Eric Tasker says here then. Oh, I got to find it here. Where am I missing it?
There were a lot of communication.
Okay.
There was probably 40 messages in between.
John and I are going back and talking about plastics and stuff and mentions, situations with plastics, mentions drop shots. Here's where Eric Tasker comes in. All I know is I caught 2 fish on 2 casts on a drop shot. Forever a fan. And I burst out laughing when I read that message. And I'm sitting there on the couch with my wife, and she kind of looks at me and I go, okay. She knew I was texting between the 3 of us, whatever, and she knew John and I were going about fish stuff. I go, Resnick and I are going back and forth about all these colors and cool baits and all this kind of nerdy stuff. And all Tasker has to weigh in was I caught 2 fish on a drop shot. I'm forever a fan. And it was
2 for 2. It was 2 for 2. It was the most important part.
It was the funniest, most because you're very open with you're I'm not a really big into this. I'm just happy to catch any fish. You said it many times.
Right.
And I'm I want to get this. You're I'm just happy to catch any fish.
Right.
Which I think how most people are. And that's it. Just that response. I was that is so on brand to Tasker. That is just ultimate on brand. It was perfect. It was perfectly timed. And we're getting all nerdy, and you just break it up. It's I'm just happy to catch any fish. I'm forever a fan of that drop shot.
Yeah, because that's how I feel, though. And I was going to say, so I watched that video, and I guess what I didn't realize about the square bill is one of my concerns with fishing, whether that's a crankbait or any of these other things, is getting them stuck and losing them. Mm-hmm. Okay, so watching that video, it really made sense to me how versatile something like a square bill is, because you can bounce it off the rocks or off of whatever that might be and not have to worry so much.
It's flared out a bit, it's squared, it's shorter, so it makes it easier to bounce, and as it hits, then it can kind of deflect the lure away from, so it'll turn the hooks away
and
from
I guess
stuff.
I never realized that.
It's not totally snag-proof.
Watching that, I'm thinking, oh, yeah, this guy just hit a log. He's not getting that back. And then it just bounces right off of there, continues wobbling. And you can't do that all the time, for sure.
Right.
I get
and there's
that.
a certain, as you get more, you get a feel for your rod and feel for the bait based on vibration stuff, so you can know when to slow step. But that's what I say. Also, what I love about this new Rapala bait is that it's balsa, so it floats. So again, if you hit or happen to hang with something, you can stop right away and just let it float. It should float itself up out of stuff. Getting kind of wedged between rocks, it might still kind of find a way to maybe, there, you can stop.
Right.
And usually it almost float itself backwards out of it and then continue on.
Yeah.
And I like to sometimes in the retrieve, even with that OG, is kind of rip it a bit and then let it sit for, a split second, because it'll stop and do that pause, kind of half float up. And I think that, that's a reactionary situation. Why I love balsa baits. And I'm glad that that's kind of the trend, Ben, that bait companies are going back to a lot more balsa baits that float versus all the plastic baits. It's not just get down to this depth and run at it. It's the fact that it floats and you can have that, kind of ebb and flow and versatility up and down the water column. So
did you notice that I made my comment about the drop shot, and then I immediately brought you guys back to focus and brought up something with bow hunting?
Mm-hmm. Again, completely on brand. Completely on brand to Eric Tasker.
I'm all right, guys, this is what we really need to be thinking about here. But, man, I've just seen a couple really, really cool backyard. I think because I've searched for it, so, of course, now the algorithm is kind of figuring out what I'm looking at. Mm-hmm. Man, I don't know. There's just a lot of really cool things as we're, trying to get ready to sell and all these things, and just thinking about what we're going to do next. I don't know. It's all these things that I've considered or thought about. And then we got into a topic of, Resnick's going to buy a lake house, and then we're all going to do these different things. So I don't know, that the whole thing was just so perfect for the 3 of us to how we all incorporated what we needed to say last night. I thought that was just really.
And it represents,
really
I think, threads and conversations that happen amongst any sets of friends, family that have anything to do with the outdoors. And I always say that's what this show is. We're not here to be experts and be all super nerdy about things. This is a show that's just dudes talking about stuff that we love in the outdoors, or weird stuff that we see about the outdoors. And there is some informational stuff, and I think there's always a little nugget of info you can take from something. And I hope that anything we do, we'll do that for anyone listening, but mainly just to entertain and kind of remind you that this is all conversations and crap that you have with, it's when you're listening to us tell these stories, you're a part of our friend group. You're a part of this. We're all sitting around the tailgate chit-chatting, a la tailgate talk. And that conversation, text thread was Tailgate Talk.
That was perfect.
Happening through text.
So spot on.
Versus in person. So,
yeah.
Did you see this story out of Oklahoma of a man that killed his noodling partner? You familiar with noodling,
Yes.
catching catfish with your hands?
Yep.
July 9th, near South Canadian River in Potomac, or Pontotoc, I'm assuming Indian tribe, I'm sorry, butchering it, my apologies, in Oklahoma. 53-year-old Larry Sanders reportedly strangled and killed his noodling partner. The two men had been noodling catfish in the river together when they apparently broke out in an altercation, and Sanders reportedly struck the other man before strangling him. Sanders reported himself to local authorities on July 10th and was arrested for an outstanding warrant and taken to jail.
Oh, God.
Once the Potomac, and Seminole County deputies and the, this OSBI, whatever, I'm guessing that's like their DNR, they found the guy's body. Later that day, they arrested Sanders on first-degree murder. Sanders is currently being held in the county jail. Official cause of death is being determined by the medical examiner's office. Don't we know it was strangulation?
Well, that's what they got to say, because until it's, actually gone through a trial and all of that, it's that a strange thing where you can have a video showing somebody committing a crime and it's still allegedly, which is just stupid.
To me, the whole story read as something that will only happen in the South. I'm sorry, Southerners. That kind of thing will only happen in the South.
Yeah, I don't think there's a whole lot of people noodling up here.
But even that, I don't think we're going to strangle each other in an altercation.
I might.
We're more apt to, eventually settle it out with beer and cheese curds or some or some sort of niceness. It is the Midwest where we are. We're a little more nice. We're far more close to our Canadian brethren.
Yeah. Yeah, Midwest nice is a real thing. That would be very odd if that did happen, but
my first thought too was like, this seems like a Florida thing, or I feel like meth was involved.
Yeah, but you know what? It's probably super rural Oklahoma, and there's not a whole lot going on out there. It's probably a big deal.
But what kind of altercation has got to be while you're out in the outdoors doing something with your friend or partner that you hit them and strangle them?
Yeah, so it's two guys, right?
Yes. Yeah, two guys.
Okay,
yes.
So maybe it was that the one guy was noodling with the other guy's wife, and maybe something went down that way.
Ah, he was putting his hand in the wrong hole.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So I don't know. You never know. Unless you actually get the story from the guy, you'll never know. It's fun to speculate, though. That would be the craziest thing, but I don't know. Maybe the guy was upset about the location they were noodling that day, or who knows.
Have you ever had an interest in noodling? Is there something you ever thought about doing or trying?
I don't know. I think it would freak me out too much. I think it would just be like a weird adventure that, I don't know, it just seems so random.
Yeah, normally things want to bite my hand or bite me, I pull away.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I stick my arm in a hole and something goes to, I'm pulling it. I'm nope.
I think I have enough respect for the water that that's not something I'm interested in.
Yeah. Okay. Just thought I'd check on that. So we're going to wrap it up there with noodling. And if you want to follow us on socials, @ on the tailgate is where you link with us. Maybe you want to weigh in on our noodling, weigh in on iCast, weigh on in anything else. Of course, also listening on the iHeartRadio app, you've got the talkback feature. So if you got the show on the app, you'll see, like, as the app's actually open, the main screen, there's, the back, the play, the skip, all that stuff. And then there's this little microphone thing that's, like, off on the right-hand side. You can press that, and you can leave us a little, like, voice memo, so you can send us messages for anything you want to weigh in on the show. So check that out. The talkback feature on the iHeartRadio app, which, of course, the only place to find this show is on iHeartRadio. But I know how big of a bow hunter you are, Tasker, and how much you love deer hunting. Mm-hmm. You've brought up bow season a couple times already. Have you caught this article that Tony Peterson wrote for the Meat Eater?
I did not, but I hear his podcast that he does every week with their group.
How target practice can make you a bad shot. And I saw this and I thought of you because you've been, shooting a lot and talking about shooting. And we'd mentioned on our, summertime prep show, which you can listen to that as well. Go and search it up if you haven't caught the full summertime prep show. I think a lot of great information on things to get ready for bow season, whether it's, the actual shooting, the gear, or the food plot planting type stuff that, Wags does a lot of. But I like Tony's first lines. He says, I don't golf and honestly can't think of a less appealing sport, except maybe mountain climbing or bull riding. And I'm like, I relate so much to this.
I am not surprised by that.
But he goes on to talk about how target shooting can make it bad. So first off, saying master the physical first, and he was talking about being able to draw and hold your bow for long periods of time. Often when you're bow hunting, it's not a normal scenario to have an animal come up and you can just draw and fire right away.
Yeah.
Like when you're target practicing in your backyard, you can draw and just, fire shots. So being able to physically hold your bow for long periods of time is a good thing to do. I know I was trying to last year train myself to shoot with both eyes open. A little tip that I got from Remy Warren of just helping the peripherals of being able to shoot with both eyes open and do that, which I'm still playing with. I mean, I can do it, but I think I'm more accurate still with the one. But I think it's just you get used to things one way versus another. But then he goes on and is talking about, people that are target practicing and setting up different scenarios, which I think is kind of cool, saying that there'll be guys that will, put branches or stuff between them and their target, because, again, that's a situation you're going to run into when you're actually in the field. Everything's not just this straight, clean, clear shot. You've got other obstacles and things to take into account. He does bring up one good point, though, and I'm like, totally get it. He says, well, that's great. Think about it. The more you're focused on not shooting that branch, what are you going to shoot?
The branch.
That branch.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting to me. I guess I'll have to read that because I think there's a couple things with that. So I don't know if you listen to any of these or not, but he's got this series that he releases every Tuesday called The Foundations.
Yeah, last year, last year's, I did actually follow through with the Foundations.
So he's still doing them every week, and it's just like a 22-ish minute podcast, which is super quick to listen to. It's probably 20 minutes of actual content, 18 minutes of actual content, and he walks through different things each week. That's not surprising, though, because one of the things that you can't control is how much time you're going to actually have holding your bow completely drawn back. And what I'd be curious to see if he touches on or not is one of the biggest challenges, I think, in bow hunting is you range a deer, you know where he's at, you've drawn back, and it's continuing to move to get to a clearing where you weren't expecting it to be, adjusting to make that shot.
So that's where I've talked about it on this show is before I do anything, when I first get set up in a tree, I will range other trees around me and take mental note and study it to myself to know this tree is this distance, this tree's that distance. And sometimes, just out of boredom, sometimes I'll test myself on other trees, be like, that looks like it's about 19 yards. 18. Okay, good, I'm close. I will do that and set myself up so I know my full everything around me. So if that situation comes and I'm like, okay, it's boom there, but it's walking towards that tree that I know is at 25 yards, but I know it's in front of that tree. Okay, I'm pretty certain that if I use my 20-yard pin and I'm just a little higher, maybe I'm in the money, I'll be able to make that shot. I use my surroundings in after I've prejudged them all to help out with that, because it's true. That's it. You can be 15 and the thing walks at an angle out from you, and it only took 6-7 steps, but now suddenly it's at 20 yards or 21 yards, depending upon the angle of how far it walked out.
Yeah, and it can make a difference. So that's one thing that I would have thought that he would talk about in there is just not, you know exactly the distance of your shot every single time. So unless you're going out there and adjusting it and trying to make a guess at what that distance is, moving your targets or stepping a foot or two back and readjusting without ranging and just trying to accommodate for that shot, I can definitely see why they say that. But I think there's more good than there is harm with target shooting, because especially if you're using 3D targets, that certainly helps. But I can see that shooting square bail or shooting just, block targets all the time, I see how that could be a detriment. You'd still be able to make your marks, but you're not mentally, you're not emotionally, and you're not physically seeing a three-dimensional target in front of you.
That's why I do love 3D courses and 3D shooting, much like the one at Buckrub.
Yeah.
Buckrub Outfitters that we shoot a lot. I do like that. And again, then you're throwing in the scenarios of branches and trees. I mean, there was a shot, I remember on the course last year, where you had to basically shoot between a V. It was like a V in the tree. And
they still got that this year.
You had to get it through that V. in order to make
pigs,
a shot.
Little pigs out there.
Is it little like javelinas or something now?
Yep.
Okay, yeah. It's like it sets you up for those scenarios of like you will have to make these shots
right
at some point in time, perhaps.
Yeah.
You know, in the wilderness, and so that's where I agree. I think 3D is a great way to do it. But I just saw the article, I thought of you, and wanted to bring that up. But one of the other things I wanted to talk about this week was haters online, because I know that you've experienced some of it. We went really in depth with that when we talked to Eric from the Okayest Hunter.
Yep.
On the Okayest show we've ever had.
Yeah.
Because that's really the biggest thing that Okayest Hunters tackled, if you're not familiar with them, is it's all about, you know, getting rid of the whole buck shaming thing. You know, and it's your tag, your hunt is always what they say. And I think it's a really great mantra and a great message to spread. And that's why I wanted to make sure to have Eric on this show and talk about it, because there is so much negativity and crap that happens online, especially. And I had an amazing comment hit my YouTube channel last week on by far my most watched video.
I can't wait for this.
Did like a little tutorial of an easy way, really kind of give two little tricks to load a heavy kayak onto a vehicle by yourself. And I mean, it's been great. If it's so many people that have watched it and commented, like, I never thought of it. That's so great. Thanks for the tip. It's helped me out greatly. This was awesome. You know, and even for people with like lighter kayaks, but you know, people that are older that can't, they're like, oh, it makes it so much easier to lift this 40-pound kayak versus, you know, like my 80-some pound kayak. Like, it's a really great trick, which if you want to see it, you can go to my YouTube channel. It's been great. Well, so I have, and I mentioned, I think even the title is something about lifting it onto an SUV. I've got a Ford Escape. It's a small SUV. I'm pretty certain it's a small SUV, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so this guy comments, that's not an SUV. It's the SUV's baby brother. Try it with a real SUV. It's not that easy. Of course, this person's name is DRAM2500C, and they have no picture. I thought,
perfect.
It's always the people with no name and no picture that are the first to go out there. It's like, just don't say anything at all.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, I don't know why people get a kick out of that. It's so obnoxious and it's so stupid, and it does so much. It first of all, it makes them look so stupid because everybody else sees that and they're like, this guy's a moron.
Right. Like, I laughed at it. It didn't get under my skin. It didn't get me mad.
Yeah.
I was just, like, I laughed. I'm like, really? Like, of all the takeaways of that, you go with that. Like, I get one.
That's what you're concerned about.
Right. There's been a few people
I'm identifying my vehicle as.
The other was commenting on, and it's a real concern. I get it. I'm like, I totally understand. So I show in this video, when I go around, I take my straps and I throw my straps over my kayak to the other side.
Okay.
So the straps that I use the NRS straps, which
Love
are
those. Got those too.
Phenomenal straps, but mine are rubberized. They have the rubber stuff around the buckle.
Sure.
And some guy's like, oh, cringe, I can't believe you throw them in your vehicle, you're going to break a window.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I've actually never dinged anything because I have those straps with that rubberized thing. And it's not like I'm chucking it into my zero. I just slowly toss it over.
Right.
You know, and it usually actually falls short the way I pass it over. Like, I'm not swinging it around. You know what? It's a risk I take. It could happen. Those comments, like, okay, yeah,
you
valid
put it right
point.
Through the window, and then
exactly.
You'll have to go back and find that comment and say, you know what, you were right. I just smashed my back window.
Which I could which I could see again if you're not using with the rubber or other straps. Something you could. I get that not everyone is using the NRF straps that I use, and you know I get that not everyone's using the Yakima rack system that I use. The other comments that I've gotten on that same video. And by the way, this is not just all of my video. We're getting to just haters in general in here, but this just happens to be the video that's had the most comments and the most things that have been on both sides of it. Was talking about the fact that I mentioned I don't do the straps from the front of my kayak down into my hood and from the back to my rear. I instead take a strap and go around my front handle and around my front crossbar, and the same thing with the back. My back handle around my back crossbar.
That's what I started doing too.
You know, and they're like, oh, well, that's so wrong. You still have to the front that helps hold it down. It helps in case you got to brake or you got to go fast. I've had racks fail. You can have tower failures. The rack can fail. You wouldn't believe how. And I'm like, I get that. If it's like a suction cup on rack or it's, I hate to sound shamey about it, but if it's like just a cheaper rack, like Yakima and Thule are expensive freaking racks.
Right.
And I know how this thing is put on because I installed it and I put it on.
Yeah.
It's pretty damn permanent onto my vehicle. Like if there is a failure of my rack somehow comes off, we have a whole nother multitude of issues.
You're driving a convertible.
Right. So that's where like I'm okay with just doing it the way I do it. because I feel comfortable that my rack can handle that.
Yeah.
And, I know of guys that will transport and have mentioned transporting my exact kayak, actually, and saying, I'll name drop it. Robert Field of Field Trips.
Yeah.
So Robert Field is big involved in the manufacture of the kayak that I own.
Yeah.
So Robert had said to someone else that made a comment about that at one point. He goes, listen, I've driven all the way across the country doing 75, 80 miles an hour with only the 2 straps across the rack. Not even doing the front and back. Just doing the 2. And it's fine. It'll be fine.
Because 99.99999% of the time, it will be totally fine, especially yours, because you don't have the elevated rack. Now, I have the dual rack on top of mine, which does have the suction cups, because I also have an SUV.
Yeah, right.
And I get a little more nervous about it just because I know that it's not a permanent. It's got the strap that goes underneath inside of the vehicle.
Yours is suction cups and it straps to the vehicle.
Yes.
So you've got,
So it's not going to go anywhere. But what I do worry about is the straps loosening. So if there's a ton of breeze and if it's super windy, I do worry about that. I know that the straps are good, but what I get concerned about is the tails of it. So I did start doing that too, where I'll just go and hook it up, so it's through the J hook, they call them, and
you
run
do
it through.
J-hooks. Again, that's the other difference too.
You don't have that.
No, I lay my kayak flat. I topside it,
right?
And so I flip it over, and it lays flat on the top of my vehicle.
Which is so stupid. There's no way that thing's going anywhere.
Yes, J-hooks, things like that. Again, that's where I've said, okay, I can see
mine
that.
Mine is more risky than yours.
Yes, absolutely. I would agree with that. I feel very safe with what I have, and I've traveled long distances
with mine, dude. I'm always nervous.
I've traveled long distance with mine, and I feel confident. Fine. The worst thing that's happened that I've been getting like a little sketch on is, again, that front strap from the front handle to that front crossbar, just getting a little loose from natural vibration and stuff because it's on a rounded handle. So if you bounce enough, that strap can slowly kind of slide around and it'll slip off the side. And then you just got a little strap that's waving or... I was headed up to Door County for my tournament.
Yeah, right.
It came, my little knot that I put in to hold the other end of the strap, that came untied, and so you've got like the loose tag end, flapping around.
And then you're like, oh no, it's coming loose.
Well, I know it wasn't
coming
loose, but you hate hearing that clack at the top of your vehicle, which might put little micro scratches, whatever. But I was like 20 minutes from my destination. Like, I'm not pulling over right now just to deal with this. I'm like, whatever. It's an SUV. I've got a few dents in it from the 2 times that I've actually done a little slight drop on my vehicle, but anyway, so
whatever.
Move on to my kayak thing.
And I will say that that Eric has done such a nice job, battling with those people too. Yeah. Just in the last week or so, I saw he had responded to somebody and actually made a video and talked about the advancement in conservation and the number of deers that are estimated to be in populations across the United States right now versus what it was before. Because the guy's comment was something along the lines of, you're the reason that we can't shoot bigger bucks in the state of Wisconsin, which, first of all, is such an absurd comment. How does one individual affect the deer population of older deer in the state of Wisconsin? First of all, get bent. That's stupid. Okay, but he actually pointed out a couple of really, really nice things in a very tactful way, and it's just his way of battling with these people. But it happens all the time.
There's benefit.
And it's so stupid.
There's benefit also to harvesting younger deer. Disease. CWD is huge. We're the epicenter of it. Our state screwed up CWD, and I've exchanged messages and hoping in planning we are going to get Doug Duran on the show. And Doug, to me, is like... in our state, he's the captain of fighting CWD.
And not only in our state, he's
speaking about it all over the nation, of using us as an example of how we've screwed up and the amazing thing that Doug's doing for land access and all these different things of trying to combat CWD in his area, of the state. And if you harvest the smaller animals, that's less animals that get CWD to spread CWD.
Yeah.
So there is a certain point where we almost have to kind of start over. So it's why shame someone of taking a smaller animal? You know what? If nothing else, you may have also saved the animal from suffering from CWD.
Yeah.
What's worse? Shooting a small spike buck or watching a 6 to 8 pointer just lay there and die the way that they do from CWD?
Well, EHD is even worse.
That too.
My God.
Same thing. So, like, I get it. Yes, personally, I try and pass on spikes. You know, I want, you know, but I'm also the person that I'm afforded with. I don't rely on venison for meals or, you know, have to eat that much or feel that sort of way. And I get that there is some people that, like, legitimately putting meat in the freezer is a benefit to their family and feeding them and their family. And so, like, I'm never going to shame someone on that, or like you've had on your TikTok of, oh, those deer might be good enough to shoot in 2 to 3 years. Great, that's the way you feel. But maybe I don't feel that way.
It's also public land, and the guy sitting 400 yards away from me might shoot those deer this year.
And that's
so. And I don't know if Eric is a public or private land guy.
I forget. We talked about it.
We did. I can't remember though. Maybe he's got maybe he does both. I don't know.
I think he does a little bit of both. Or does he deer hunt private with his family, and then? But I thought he talked about turkey hunting public land. That
could be. But that's just the thing. It's like, you know what? Everybody's got this opinion, and it's. I'm so over that though, because it's like, you know what? I don't know that I've ever posted a deer that I personally have harvested. I posted a picture of the buck that my dad shot last year, like a 4-pointer or whatever it was, and not a big deer by any means. But it was the first deer my dad had ever shot with a bow. Hell yeah, I'm going to post that.
Heck yeah, that was awesome.
Who cares? And you know what? It tastes just as good as any of the other deer that we have ever shot. So whatever. And it's like, you know what? Of course we all want to shoot a huge buck.
But why do we do this? That's the whole question I get to. And I don't mean like we as in you or I or you. I mean as a community of outdoors enthusiasts. Why do I feel that this is a community that is almost more negative and more judgy on other people than even.
For sure.
I mean, really, the only one that I could say that would be worse judgy is moms. You know, the whole mom shaming and how moms like to judge and shame other people's parenting. Which don't ever do that. That's
stupid,
right? But like outdoors has got to be the next.
Yeah.
And aren't we supposed to be a community and helping each other? Like there was a TikTok a guy the other day that I had actually like duetted just to share it on my page too. That he was going on talking about like a problem in just looking at the fishing community. That there's guys out there that will go and like and follow other people, like their videos. And, you know, it's kind of cursy. If someone like follows me, likes a bunch of my stuff or comments, like, okay, I'm going to give you a follow back.
Sure.
But then they'll go through their list and clean out all these people and unfollow all these people just so they are followed by 3 times as many people as they follow. Because apparently that's supposed to make you look cool.
Yeah. Now, I will say
it happens. I see it all the time,
dude. I don't like that at all. See, now I kind of feel bad because with my Wisco bow hunting page, I don't follow back a lot of people because I'm trying to keep that a very concentrated feed of the things that I specifically want to see. Like when the Roe v. Wade thing happened, I was so thankful to have something that was not political.
Oh,
it was nothing but outdoors.
Sneaks all over in mine. But
and it's so nice to have like a separate thing. So I hate to say that because I want to engage with all these people, but at the same time, I also just want to see only outdoors things. So you're probably following me because you are into the outdoors and whatever, but I'm also just trying to keep that like a relatively cleansed.
I don't spend a lot of time on TikTok, and so the algorithm gets so funky with me. And this is something I've always said with TikTok that's frustrating and whatever, is I think it then just wants to feed me things that people that view or like some of the same content that I do or that I make watch. So my feed ranges from, outdoors, political commentary, and swingers.
Interesting. Okay, so
and then occasionally, you know, the girls shaking their butts thing.
So you're into those 4 things,
right?
Perfect.
I'm not. However, and that's like keep saying, I'm like, I swear, their algorithm goes, this guy's not on here very often. So when he comes on, we should feed him the stuff that fits what he normally. The people that So like, okay,
35-year-old guy,
right? 35-year-old guys apparently love swingers. They love girls dancing, shaking their butts, and they love political commentary.
I would say at least 2 of the 3 are true.
I will admit, guilty pleasure. I do love political hot takes because to me it's funny. All sides,
there's a lot of wild
down,
stuff
left,
out
right,
there,
and
man.
that's not like sides in one or the other. I'm like all universe. I love all of the hot takes from everywhere. It can be very, very funny and entertaining at times for me. So anyway, that being said, don't hate. don't shame.
Yeah, man, go shoot whatever deer you want to shoot.
Catch what fish you want to catch.
Yeah, I'm gonna get a bunch of doe tags this year. I'm gonna shoot every tag that I'm able to shoot this year.
Yeah, I definitely am gonna. I'm needing venison at this point. Just so I've got to do the. I'm not waiting. Last year I waited. I passed so much. We won't do that this year. So. Yeah, if you want to check out that episode, by the way, get more on the shaming thing and actually a really funny and great take of everything. In fact, there was actually a little bit of a rack comparison situation happening during that show. It's pretty funny. With Eric from Okayest Hunter, check it out, our Okayest show. It's available on our podcast channel. And again, if you want to weigh in anything, feel free to drop us a line at On the Tailgate on socials, or you can use the Talkback feature listening on the iHeartRadio app. Next week, I don't know what we're going to talk about. That's what's great about the show. We just kind of wing it sometimes, or follow us on socials. The easiest way to sometimes get a little snippet as to what you can expect on the show. But
hell, it's almost deer season.
I know. I got a bass tournament coming up. That
next weekend we'll probably touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, because that'll be going into it. I'm pre-fishing a bit this weekend because I don't really have the time or abilities to pre-fish the days ahead of it, which is fine. And it's an area that I know, but I just want to get up and take a look at things. Run the graph a bit and pedal around and kind of see how long it's going to take to get me from spot A to spot B to C to D, and then I can plan out my milk run of what I'm going to do in that tournament. So, yeah. Anyway, until next time, thanks for joining along. We'll catch you on the next one. This is Tailgate Talk.